Hello, and thanks for checking out the video. I'm standing on top of some Bronze Age burial mounds or barrows, and the views are just to die for, you know, all around, as you can see. But I've actually come to this area to try and look at some ancient yew forest, which is actually further down the hill. So just taking a bit of this and then head on down there. I have to admit, I do find yew trees a little bit, I don't know what the word is, perhaps slightly sinister or a little bit intimidating. I don't know why really. I think it's all about legend, rumour, hearsay, you know, the things you hear about them. And, you know, their sheer toxicity as well. That coupled with the aesthetics of the tree itself just makes me a little bit uneasy. I don't know why really, you know. So am I going to face my demons today? No, it's not like that. You know, I love all nature. You know, I love yew trees. Fantastic ancient things they are, you know. Sometimes, you know, when you're in a big gang of things you like, sometimes one of them or two of them you can't quite sum them up. We know that yews are very long-lived. Some of them in this area might possibly be close to 2,000 years old. It's apparently quite rare to have a large number of yews, you know, a yew forest. They tend to be growing singly, you know, usually in graveyards, sometimes in small stands. To get large amounts like this is very rare. So what happened to our yew forests? After all, it's one of only 3 native conifers in this country. Well, apparently, Google tells me that in the 1400s, the English government decided that for every cask of wine we imported, the government wanted 4 staffs of yew, which of course was the timber of choice for the longbow. And consequently, there was a mad rush to fell as many yew trees to pay this levy, so that, you know, alcohol, wine, I suppose, brandy could still be imported, and the merchants could still pay, you know, the required amount of yew staffs, and thereby England had the required amount of longbows, I suppose. The yew was, by all accounts, a fantastic piece of timber for to make a longbow, and yeah, obviously was quite sought after. King Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose, was sunk off the south coast, not too far from here actually, and was raised in the 80s, I think, not that long ago. And they found longbows on board, you know, nearly 2 meters in length, and the pulling weight on them, they worked out, you know, to actually use them in anger, was over 80 kilograms. So it makes you realise what those guys were made of that operated those weapons, especially under battle scenarios. I have heard a few people tell me that the yew tree is where we get our word for tax. You know, taxation, the taxes that everybody pay, comes from the word comes from the yew tree. And Google did tell me that the word tax did start to appear in the 1400s. And I wonder if it's to do with this levy that the English government put on, you know, importing barrels of wine, etc. And of course, funnily enough, the correct botanical name for yew trees is Taxus baccata. So I think that's what people, when they say tax comes from, I think that might be to do with the botanical name of the yew tree. Every part of the yew tree is toxic, except for the flesh of the fruit, which is called an aril. And the flesh of the aril is edible, but is it worth the risk? I met a lady yesterday in the pub and she told me that she'd eaten the flesh of the fruit of the yew tree. But then she went on to say about how scared she was when she used to ride her horses near the yew tree, because she was told that just 5 ounces of foliage would kill her horse. So yeah, don't think it's worth the risk of trying to eat even the flesh of the fruit of the yew tree. They seem to have very uneven and almost fluted trunks. They seem to sometimes die on the inside, but keep living on the outside. Characters of their own. It was fantastic to see those ancient yew trees, but now I've got to head on out of the National Nature Reserve and go on a few miles to some woods that I know. Another few of our friends. ground's a little bit damp. We've had rain for a couple of days. So yeah, I've got a little twig stove, a little tiny fire pit sort of thing. We just have a small fire to make dinner and make tea. We don't need a fire all night, we don't need a big fire. Keep an eye on it, keep it enclosed in a container and very small. But as I say, the ground's nice and, well, it's reasonably damp now. Oh boy, I needed that. Sometimes only a cup of tea will do. such stony ground. I made this little fire guard thing to try and stop the sticks falling off and getting close to the bedding, anything like that. You know, I've had a few problems in the past where the sticks can fall off and, you know, damage this ground sheet, possibly even set light to it, worst case scenario. So I thought I'd come up with something that would something that's not flammable and might just act as an additional barrier to stop sticks or the little logs rolling down into the shelter itself. I don't really need it with this little sort of twig fire today, and this fire is only going to be going while we make tea and make dinner, but I just thought I'd bring this fire guard thing out and give it a try. So it'll hopefully act as a secondary boundary. Any sticks that tumble down will be caught by this. For dinner tonight, I thought I'd try out this sort of a frying pan. It came from a very cheap camping cook set, which I got it a long time ago, and just found this in the loft the other day. The various other bits and pieces from the cook set were taken and used on other things. This was left, but it seems reasonably good quality, considering it was a cheap cook set. And I just thought I'd try it tonight and just have some toasted sandwiches. cheese and onion and tomato. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. First things I suppose is to prep up the tomato and the onion. One delicately wrapped tomato and one onion. Chose red onion for this. Not quite as powerful, I think, in a sandwich as a white onion. It survived. Not the best chopping board, of course. Got some butter here. Well, sort of a vegan spread. If we coat one side of the bread first, we'll do the other side also a bit later, but we'll get one side coated first. Smoke. Oh, I'm not used to this smoke. That's one side of one piece of bread toasted. I'll just butter the side that goes down first of all. It just adds to the flavour and stops it sticking a bit to the pan, I think. This is a toasted piece, and we'll butter the other side of this one. So one side was toasted with the butter on, and now we're going to put this freshly buttered side down in a minute in the pan. Then we can load up the sandwich. Some cheese. Well, in this case that's a vegan cheese. Some tomatoes and some onion. Not cooperating very well at the moment. Oh, look at that, forgot my cheese. Forgot the double cheese. There we go. That's pretty much done, I think. You know, only needs to soften the onion and melt the cheese. It's not really cooking, is it? That wasn't a bad snacky dinner. And this pan is, yeah, pretty good. Not sure if I bring it out again for a while. It might end up back in the loft, but yeah, for part of a cheap cook set, stainless steel, feels reasonably thick. I'm sure it weighs over 100 grams, probably weighs, I don't know, I'd be guessing, but say 120, 150 grams. But yeah, not bad bit of kit. Crikey, it feels so warm tonight. I don't think I'm going to sleep in my woolly all-in-one sort of onesie thing. I think that might be too warm. I think I'll just sleep as I am and throw on a merino base layer and a merino wool jumper and scarf and a hat and hope for the best. Yeah, that was a good night really. You know, it wasn't cold. I felt the cold a little bit perhaps, you know, just before dawn. I didn't wear the all-in-one sort of woolen base layer thing that I use. Oh, a badger's just run behind there. Should have spun the camera. And yeah, I didn't wear my woolen base layer thing, which I wear like a boiler suit, because I felt the night was going to be mild, and it was mild, but that meant that just by dawn I was just feeling, my legs were just feeling a bit on the cool side. But yeah, it was a good night. Yeah, just a few twigs on the fire just to make the tea, and we'll let those die down and we'll start the pack up.